At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Bienvenidos a tu programa de Toma Buda PR, un programa donde siempre estamos hablando de la vela náutica, que sí, ajústense en sus cinturones, que aquí empezamos.
Toma Buda PR, la otra emisora de vela nativa que avance y la cierre, que la puerta la cierre. Realizamos entrevistas, informaciones del evento. No cambia el canal todos los sábados, venimos con nuevo entretenimiento. Navegando en los ríos y también en las playas. Estamos sonando en Puerto Rico, también allá en las Islas Canarias. En la vela nativa y los debolineando. Les damos las gracias, siempre en sintonía, ustedes los sigo apoyando. Esto es Toma PR, Toma Buda PR. Que avancen y cierren, la otra emisora que avancen y cierren.
Welcome to TomaBudaPR Sailing Podcast. This is your girl, the manager. Before I tell you about our special guest, let me remind you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram as TomaBudaPR. Go to our YouTube channel. You can find us as well as TomaBudaPR. And go check out our webpage at www.tomabudapr.com. So, Buda and myself had the privilege to sit down and speak a little bit with Mr. Jack Everett. He told us a little bit about himself, about his family, and he also told us how he fell in love with sailing. So, without any further ado, I'll leave you with Mr. Jack Everett.
Hello, Jack Everett.
Yeah.
How you doing? Yeah, this is Buda.
This
Hey,
is
Good. Well, we've been a long time to do this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be here doing some of the interviews. You know, his English is kind of, he's still working on it, Mr. Everett.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I saw that you have a lot of history through your Facebook page, but I would like everybody to know, who is Mr. Jack Everett?
Okay, right now I'm a retired electronic engineer, and I'm 71 now. So
Wow.
getting on up there here.
And still sailing.
I grew up on a farm in northwest Georgia.
Okay.
And, went to Georgia Tech. Didn't do much boating at that time, but had an uncle that had a boat, power boat on the lake. So we went up to the lake. Didn't know anything about sailing. Bit a pond. Built a little raft to go out on the pond. That wasn't very much. But anyway, one time I was on vacation. Well, let me finish up telling you more about me as a base, and we'll get into the sailing side of it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I married my high school sweetheart a year after we got out of high school, and we have two girl children, and we have 2 grandchildren. My daughter now lives with her husband on the farm that I grew up on, in the house I grew up in.
Wow.
My son went to college in Columbia, South Carolina, and there he met his wife, who was from Barbados.
Wow.
And now they have two wonderful children, and being there, we don't get to see them as much as we'd like, but we'll come into that a little bit later on the segment.
Okay. And you married your wife in 1968, correct?
Say again?
Did you marry your wife in 68?
Yes.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, we've can't say it's been off, to use a phrase that hasn't been off smooth sailing, but it's been very good. We're even still learning how to live with each other and enjoy each other better. I'm working on, trying to, find ways to enjoy other things with her. She had, for a time, was very supportive of my sailing, stuff. She is still very supportive of it, but she's not a sailor.
Oh, she's not?
She likes being on any kind of boat, but she'll go on a boat sometimes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
That's good. That's good.
That's one thing that I wish was slightly different about it, but she is still very, very encouraging on sailing. She'll buy me some sailing gear sometimes, and, of course I tell her, let me pick out the important things. She's okay with that.
She understands that between your family and God, she knows that you love sailing as well, so.
Yeah, that's right.
You were in the, you were a private also, right? In the Army Reserve?
Army Reserve, I joined, and, started out as a private, but, after 5 years, I applied for a commission as an officer, and, so I got that because I graduated from college.
Wow.
Graduated from college in 72.
Wow.
1972. Georgia Tech.
I born in 1976.
Yeah.
You're what?
He was born in 1976.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a young man, huh?
Yeah, 43 years old.
Yeah,
Wow.
Going back just to fill in a little bit more on the farm, I grew up with two brothers and two sisters, and actually had three sisters. One passed away early in her life, and a brother passed away just a few years ago. Anyway, so it's a family. We worked hard on the farm, and I don't want to be a farmer anymore. For some reason, my daughter wanted to. She moved back to the farm. But she and her husband do some gardening down on the farm.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'll come down and help out a little bit with some things. Like I say, I concentrate on finding sailing adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Anyway, when my wife and I went on vacation down on the coast of Georgia to get into the sailing side of things.
Uh-huh.
And we rented a small camper trailer from a local person down there. And that person had a sunfish. And asked me if I wanted to go out and sail. So I did. And of course, he told me how to handle it. And two people on a sunfish is a bit. But anyway, he gave the helm to me, and I promptly capsized it. That was
wow.
You know what a sunfish size boat is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
we do. They have that a lot in Puerto Rico also.
That prompted my interest. And then, for several years after that, anytime we'd go to a beach area, I would rent a boat. Usually a catamaran, a small Hobie or something similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I continued doing that when I traveled for my job for several years. I guess that was more like after I was in my 30s. Had some friends at work and others that knew a little bit about sailing. Sometimes we'd get together. And even talking about my Army Reserve career, I had one person there that was into sailing. We would do some of our training in southern Mississippi, and one time we went down to the coast and rented a boat, sailed around to some of the islands there. At least one of the islands. Anyway,
and that's how you fell in love.
We picked up some oysters right off the bottom area where it was known that the water quality was all that great, but we had some nice fresh oysters.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway,
So since the first time you got since the first time you got on a sunfish or on any boat, you fell in love with it. It was something about being able to control this boat in the sea.
Yeah, it had no formal training or anything, but anyway, at one point, didn't do a whole lot of it, but at one point I got even more interested in it. And, I told you my wife sometimes was sailing and go out on boats, but she told me that if you had some training and knew what you were doing,
she would.
she would some. And, anyway, so, we did, I've rented a variety of small boats in various lakes and other places we've been, and she went with me on one lake down in, Georgia, in a little lagoon area. We sailed in small, just probably 15 foot or, I'm even not sure. I don't even remember what kind of boat it was around there. But anyway, going back to her training, she got training. So I found out about the U.S. Power Squadron, and got involved in that, and took their training from, starting, basic boating rules all the way up through celestial navigation.
Okay.
Anyway, I got interested in all of that. And being an electronic engineer, I took to GPS systems pretty quickly, and that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I saw that on your profile that you worked on nautical GPSs, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't work on them. I just used them a lot.
Okay.
Wow.
So you're specialized in yourself on learning the GPS system. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's another navigation stuff.
Okay.
So,
we use them for Rico, but only when we're going fishing, you got a good spot, you get a good you fish there, but you mark like you want to go again, but you know where to go.
Yeah.
So for sailing, but for us,
the
native boat, no.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah.
So how long did you train?
Say again?
How long did you train?
Oh, this training was over several years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was just every few months they would have a different class, and I forget how many classes. It's basically broke down into ABCs of boating, the kind of introduction, and then they had a seamanship class, a piloting class, which helps you navigate. You learn how to use charts.
Okay.
Not even GPS. This is before you learn how to turn the GPS stuff. But then you have an advanced piloting, then junior navigation and senior navigation, seminars on radar, anchoring. They have a course on sailing, which I never did find it as never did have a chance to take it as a formal course, but I have the book. Someday I'm going to take it just so I can get credit for it. Most of my sailing and stuff I've learned is by going sailing with different people. There's a sailing club here in Shannon. There's a yacht club called Privateers Yacht Club that I got involved in.
Okay.
And did there what I think it was my Army Reserve friend, one of my coworkers said, you want to go sailing, you just go down to a marina and walk around the docks and ask anybody who looks like they're going out if they'll take you out with them. I've done that.
That's
several
wanting
places,
to learn.
in Toronto, Canada. And then started that way at the local club. And learned a lot there, a lot of sailing terminology. even though we don't have shrimp in Chickamauga Lake, I learned what shrimping means with a spinnaker. You know what I'm talking about there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You've been there too, huh?
Yeah. My husband was a fisherman as well with his grandfather, so he learned all that. Plus he does scuba diving, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about what they call shrimping with a spinnaker.
Yeah, with a spinnaker, the big, the big seal on the front.
Shrimp, but it's like you were taking shrimp. So the spinnaker drops in the water if you don't retrieve it correctly, and that's people call that shrimping.
Okay.
Oh, so we call it shrimping. Okay.
So I'll teach you a new term about sailing. Huh?
Yeah, I see. I'm writing them down.
Basically, for us in the native, we never use the spinnaker, only in this one that said the chalanas is different in the South Puerto Rico. They use the spinnaker where there is the homemade boat, you know.
Yeah.
But I want to buy you one day to go. You can go with me to Puerto Rico, you can see how we make this and how we
make the boat.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, he mentions you a lot with all the guys over there in Puerto Rico. He goes, we have to invite Mr. Jack Everett because he loves this so much. And the guy's like, yes, bring him we could teach him how they, do their constructions and the difference of their sails.
Yeah. Cool. You know about the night?
It's night. A little, not too much, but everything I see in Facebook, because I follow a lot of groups about that.
Yeah.
Snipe, 49er, and different class, but Snipe, I see a lot about that.
Yeah, that was one class of boats that a lot of people built themselves, but you had to build it to the exact specification, and that's really how the club here in Chattanooga started. Is everybody built Snipe. And it was one of my friends in the Power Squadron and the Yacht Club that actually built several here. And I didn't know he had built them until I was sailing with a friend on his and looked at the name tag, and it said Cox number 149 or something like that. And is that my friend Lloyd? And he said, yeah, he built these boats for a while.
And then I got the 470 here in Tennessee. They don't have a clue for this?
I think there's one or two, I don't know, 470 or not. There's a whole variety of boats that people have in their yacht club.
I want to introduce
I've kind of tried to sail on many different kind of boats as I can.
Yeah.
I don't own one right now, but
you will
there's
soon.
one person bought 420s for the young people to race. It's training for the Olympics. We had a youth Olympics event here.
And Nashville Jet, I see only the laser. They got a lot of laser here. But I wanted to because I'm gonna start build my boat the next year. Yeah. And the native boat in Puerto Rico is right now, because they changed the design. It's like a Snipe but 17 foot.
Yeah.
It's something like that, but we don't use spinnaker. It's like a combination with a star and Snipe at the same time. Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. What do you call that boat?
The native boat in Puerto Rico.
They call it the native boats, or traditional, or where and if they do any changes on it, they call it in Spanish modificados, where they modernize it a little bit just to be able to compete.
Yeah, that's about how long?
It's 17 foot.
That's it's 70 foot, yeah.
17. Nice size boat.
Mm-hmm. And the really traditional ones are 22, right?
No, okay, they got 22, 17, 19, and 17 too. 17, 19, and 22.
Yeah.
And 35.
And 35, yeah.
35?
Yes, sir.
You have a crew of 4 or 5?
Yes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
6 or 7? How many do you want?
Yeah. Well, basically what the fishermen used to do is that they were their, that used to be their work equipment because they used to use that to fish. And then just for entertainment, they used to start doing regattas in between, you know, to see which boat is faster. So that's how it, came about. Mr. Jack Everett, how did you start competing? I saw that the last one was in, you were on the plane around?
Yeah. That's a Pinnacle 40.7 that's from England.
Oh, wow.
That's following it on its delivery back to England. But, I started competing when I got associated with the local yacht club. If you've ever been to Chattanooga or do any races locally in Nashville, you might have heard about Privateer Yacht Club.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Anyway, that started visiting there more. Sometimes just to go out for day trading, but most of the time is for racing. So people would take me out and teach me how to be a crew on their boat. Did a lot on Flying Scott. Learned how to do spinnakers on that. It's a small, it's only 19 foot, but it's usually 2 or 3 people, but usually 2, and you can buy spinnaker with, spinnaker pole, or not to put a spinnaker pole up, that kind of stuff. Then started, crewing, one person that I crewed a lot with on a Flying Scott, and he had a 5 foot called Fun. I crewed with him on for a bit. But whoever would need crew at the club, I would join up. And speaking of lasers, lasers one boat that I did on, but I was a bit younger, and a little more agile.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had some boats for their youth program at the club, and they decided to get rid of them. So I said, well, I'll buy one and play around with it. So I did that. Then, learned a bit about lasers. One thing I learned about lasers is that, you always see people, with the boat heeled over. Over. And, I try to sail it and, let it heel over a bit like that. One very experienced night sailor, and laser sailor and other folks said, you want to keep that thing as level as possible, even if you have to leave your main and, hike out real hard. And I did that and said, oh wow, this thing goes faster that way. Learned with experience and a lot of advice from experienced sailors. Yeah. And so anyway, I started, just crewing with several different people here in the local club. And, we had there's a regatta called the Tennessee Valley Challenge Cup. It's between clubs, all up and down the Tennessee River.
Oh, yeah?
Different places.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know
and
about
sometimes
that.
there were other regional regattas that they did here. They did one for Flying Scott, one for Catalina 22. They at one point had a lot of,
I like that
35,
kind of boat.
I think, Catalina 22s here in this local club. The largest fleet in the U.S., not the world.
Oh, wow.
Catalina 22s are not as popular as they were in the last few years. But now it's getting into Meltis 24s and J22s and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The Catalina 22s.
Carolina 22.
We used to have maybe 10 to 15 or maybe even more out for races, and basically had their own fleet, their own scoring. Now there's only 4 or 5 of Catalina 22s that are active. Anyway,
so
I crewed for people from Catalina 22s, Impulse 26, on a fun boat, S2 9.7. In fact, I just crewed with that guy last week.
Oh, you did?
Wow.
Yeah, he's a fellow alumnus of Georgia Tech, so we get along pretty well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. In the meantime, I live in Chattanooga now. I did before, but in 2008, we moved to California because my daughter, who now lives on the farm, had was in the art and sculpture business. She was doing all kinds of art stuff, and she decided, when she graduated from high school, to go to California. So she went out there and was back east for a bit, and then was out there in 2008. My job was changing, so I decided that, well, I don't want to take an assignment in Michigan. I'll resign and see if I can find a job in California, which I did. So my wife and I moved to California. I visited my daughter a bit out there and, noticed all the sailboats on San Francisco Bay and said, cool, I'd like to see sailing on San Francisco Bay. So times that I would go visit her and I would try to find. She had a friend that had a sailboat. Went out and tried that. I didn't do too well with it on her, with her friend. It didn't impress her. But anyway, learned a little bit about sailing on San Francisco Bay, and then when we decided to move there, I decided, well, I'm just going to join a club where I can have access to a boat or buy a boat. Started asking around about the club. Okay, yeah. I'd like to sail out underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. He said, oh no, you can't take our club sailboats out underneath the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh wow.
Oh no. So I started shopping for used boats and found one that was really, really cheap. And this is actually in 2006, before we moved out there in 2007. I guess moved in 7. But anyway, I didn't see it, but I sent my daughter over to take a look at it. Told her to dig down into the bottom of it and take up the floorboards and see what you see. And she said, well, I don't see anything. I said, is it dry there? She said, yeah. I said, okay, it's a good solid boat. And I found out it was a Columbia Challenger, which is a 24-foot racing version, but very solidly built in 1953. So,
wow.
I found out later it's a super solid boat. Found out later by reading history about them, as well as having some small accidents with the boat, bumping against things, and it just survived. Never punched a hole in it or anything. So, to continue that, we moved to California, to San Francisco Bay Area, because there's sailing going on all the time. And even before I moved out there, I would go out to visit my daughter, and she worked on weekends, and there were sailing regattas. So I started finding people to sail with. So I'd go visit her. I'd go sailing during the regatta time, and then in the evenings with her.
Where have you traveled?
Several regattas in San Francisco at different times.
Where have you traveled during these regattas? I know you have been to England.
Yeah.
So you've been able to travel doing these.
Well, I sailed on several different boats in California. Kind of, even though I had my own boat, I would go sail on other boats after, even before I moved, I'd sail on other boats, in regattas, and then take my boat out with either some other people or single-handed in the afternoon and do a sunset sail. But anyway, in California, I traveled to several cities along the coast out there in regattas and sailing deliveries. Then, as I told you that my son and his family and my 2 grandkids live in Barbados.
Yes.
So, traveled to Barbados to see them and to go sailing.
I bet she loved it.
So, yeah, I met different people down there, sailed on different kinds of boats, from around the race around the island there. TP-52, which is a major racing boat. There's a whole class of those now. But, and even the last couple of years, I got linked up with a old schooner that was built as a replica just a few years ago, a 100-foot schooner.
Oh, wow.
That didn't sail, so I sailed with it was a Beneteau, 52 or something like that this year. But anyway, I could come there and, visit them and,
enjoy.
would do the Round Barbados race in January, and then I heard about the Caribbean 600.
Okay.
Racing around several different islands in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for ways to sail in that, and against my, well, not necessarily against my own better judgment, but later in my sailing, I decided that some of these boats and events are worth paying a charter fee for.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in California, I was always, it was always a free ride, and there was one case where a boat owner asked us that if we're going to enter this regatta, so we need some contribution. So that was small compared to what I paid for being on much bigger boats to sail to Hawaii. One boat I didn't have to pay for, but just a small communication equipment.
Yeah.
So
did you compete in any
been to
Rolex?
Hawaii. I sailed to Hawaii 3 times in races and sailed once back. So again, did I compete?
Did you compete in the Rolex regattas?
Yeah, well, I'm getting around to that one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Kind of building up. Building up here. But anyway, so we can talk about the specific stuff. We'll get to
Take your time. I'm
to
here
that.
for you,
Yeah,
Mr. Everett.
the Caribbean 600, got a Rolex sponsored by the Royal Yacht Squadron.
Yes.
One of the major clubs in England.
Yes.
But like I say, it's 600 miles, it's kind of zigzagging around the islands from starting in Antigua and going around to St. Martin and around Guadalupe. But anyway, I paid for a charter fee on a Beneteau 40.7. It's through an organization called Sail Racing Academy.
Okay.
Which is run by a guy in England that likes to sail, and he does theatrical technical productions, lighting and I guess sound, and I don't know what else, but he does that kind of thing as a day job. But he started this sailing organization. Anyway, he chartered, it paid him a fee to sail with it, and he chartered a boat in Antigua. It's a Beneteau 40.7. And that year, the winds were extreme for a Caribbean race. Normally you get 15 to 25 knot winds.
Yes.
That year we had 25 to 35, sometimes 40 knot winds in the Caribbean. So it was really rough. But I was, in most of my other things, I've been primarily navigator, even though I did spend a lot of time on deck and, grinding and trimming sails and stuff, on the races in San Francisco. And of course I do that here on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
I was primarily a navigator, so I was down below most of the time. So I had to give, real, admiration for my crewmates who were sitting up on the deck in a 40 knot wind with waves cracking over. But it was supposed to be a nice warm Caribbean race.
Oh, wow.
And, so anyway, did that and then, did the navigation all around those islands, and the guy that's running the organization liked what I did, so he asked me if I would do around Ireland.
Wow.
So when I did that, that one was sponsored by Volvo. Volvo also, a couple of years ago, was sponsoring a round the world race too. So I can tell people I've done a Volvo race, even though it's not the one around the world. So I got, like that, and then, he invited me, I asked about doing the Fastnet, which is a Rolex race. Have you heard of the Fastnet?
I hear something about that.
Yeah. It's from England over to, very famous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look that up. There's a wonderful poem about the Fastnet.
Yes.
So, did that, and in the midst of that, we did a race around the Isle of Wight, which is the same island that the America's Cup was won at.
Okay.
Back in 1851.
Wow.
And then, after the fast, that was after the round Ireland race.
Okay.
Finished that race, hopped the plane back to England to do the around the island race. So, but then after the Fastnet, came back and did regatta called Cowes Week. Cowes Week. And that's the town of Cowes is on the Isle of Wight. The races are held between the island and the main part of England.
Okay.
And it's around a whole variety of buoys. You zigzag all over the channel area there. It's a place called the Solent, which is the area of water between the Isle of Wight. You have to be careful when you say Isle of Wight. Not, it's not white, it's white.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not right, it's either. W-I-D-A-T, white.
Okay.
Anyway, you can look that up in America's Cup.
I'm gonna look into it.
I've done the Rolex Fastnet. Then I said, well, other big race, I've done 2 major races in Hawaii, and they list, when they talk about the big races around the world, they got the Transpac race. This is one I've done actually twice.
Yeah.
And the Fastnet race, and then there's the Sydney to Hobart race, Australia. So I said, well, before I get too old, I'm gonna find a ride in that. So
No.
I found a ride for that, and Adams 20, which is 55 foot, and turns out their navigator was not doing the race, so they let me navigate. Okay. I did okay with that. One guy told me it's the best job, and he's the best navigator we've had, and the owner, I slipped up a couple of things and didn't get any quick answers on stuff. But anyway, that happens with any crew. Some people say that you did a great job. Owners are a little finicky. So I don't profess to be a super duper navigator. I should say I can get you there and try to help you navigate around the weather system. But anyway, did that, and we still finished third in our division. So
oh, that's good.
Anyway, so that's
what has been okay? Let's start with this one. Which is the race that you could never forget, and it was the best one for you? The one that you were most excited and you could never forget that race.
Oh, that's hard to say.
Well, let's go with...
I would say it's the Sydney to Hobart.
Okay. Why?
Because that's known to be a major challenge in the race. But again, I was not doing much on deck. I had to come up sometimes. One time we had some strong winds. I came up to try to use my iPad on deck, and that just didn't work out at all. So I went back down to the navigator station. I was using a computer and an iPad for doing the navigation work. But it's just that it's such a known race. It, like the Fastnet, are notorious for having severe storms that in some previous races have caused a lot of some fatalities, and you learn a lot about
it challenged you.
Safety at sea. And turns out in our race we didn't have any severe problems, but in reading and watching previous years and the books written about the city of Hobart, I've read that. Anyway, so it's just a challenge at that race, even though it's only 600 miles.
It was now
it's long compared to sailing around the lake, or even sailing on coastal shore in California, or Florida, or even in Barbados. It's just the variety of conditions.
Okay.
And one of the most exciting things about it, if you haven't had a chance to, at least look up some videos of the start, Sydney Harbor.
Okay.
Hundreds of boats. There's 3 different start lines, all starting at the same time, but in 3 different areas, depending on the class of boat. and they make adjustments to turning marks leaving the harbor and then going down the coast of Australia to even out the distances so that everyone sails the same 620 miles.
Oh, wow.
630 miles. I mean, exactly.
Now,
and you get so much variety of that, just the excitement of it starting in the harbor with so many other boats there.
mm-hmm.
Because that was another thing about the around the island race in England. Hundreds of boats, I think it's 1,200 boats.
Yeah, we were keeping track of you, and I was seeing, I was talking to my husband, I was like, oh my God, all these twists and turns and...
But anyway, in the city harbor, you come down and then you got this area between Australia and Tasmania, the storms can come through. And then you got the wonderful scenery going down the coast of Tasmania. And then you turn in the river going up to the finish line. You don't know what conditions you're going to have. When you turned into the bay going in there, we had 25, 30 knot winds. Then we got up to another part of the river and the winds totally died, which is typical of Sydney Hobart. Sometimes it becomes a drifter for the last 20 miles. But, turns out we did okay. But there's a whole variety of things. Different scenery. It's one iconic area, right there before you turn into the bay going up to the river. The rock formation is just totally awesome.
Now, which is the worst race
Ooh.
that you wish you could forget?
I wish I could forget.
Maybe one you say this is bad weather. Oh,
well,
my God.
I would guess that the one I wish I could forget, but I won't. It's kind of sad. And out off the coast of San Francisco, there's an island called the Fairlands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heard of those? Okay, done several races around there, and so I was doing a race, a double-handed race with a guy. I forget exactly what size boat it was, 26, 28 boat. So anyway, it was a nice, typical windy day, and when we were approaching the island, I was the crew, because he's different. I was sitting on deck, and I have an automatic inflated light there. But it, wasn't extremely cold, so I didn't have my jacket totally zipped up or like that. But anyway, we got hit by, waves flashing over the side of the deck. Well, that's cool. Not bad at all. Then we got hit by a really big one, and it got my life jacket wet enough to inflate. He was there on the side of the boat with a inflated life jacket.
Wow.
And then, but the bad thing about it was, even though it wasn't extremely cold, because we wear foul weather gear out there.
How cold was it?
Especially in the summertime. You can go sail the shores in San Francisco in the winter because the winds are so light. But in the summertime. But anyway, I got, the wave, I didn't have my jacket buttoned up near my collar, so the wave soaked me inside my foul weather jacket. And, I started getting cold.
I could imagine.
Everett, yeah. There was just a bit of wind, and so, I told him, I'm wet, I'm cold, I'm still gonna have to go below, get out of the wind, and right now, my wife keeps cold in the house, I'm shivering, because she was thinking about that, because I was, really, really cold. I was, to the point that, took off all the wet stuff I could, I thought I was getting hypothermia.
Wow.
Going to be in really bad shape. But, then, Skipper finally called down to me and said, hey, I, got my girlfriend a new foul weather jacket up there in the locker room in dry. So I put that on and had a spare life jacket. So I put that on and finally warmed up. And that was pretty traumatic. But, still okay. And then somehow we got back into almost to San Francisco, and just about to come under the Golden Gate Bridge, and the wind died, and there was this tanker that was going out to do something, either to dump some ballast water or whatever. But anyway, we saw the tanker go out, and then we were about to make a maneuver to come through the Golden Gate Bridge and finish. We were way behind everybody else anyway.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, this tanker started bearing down on us, and I told the guy, I said, well, if we just drive over this way, we'll be okay. And he said, no, I don't think so. So we had to start the engine, of course, disqualified. I think for safety, it was probably a field. Anyway, we were so late, it was dropped out. So, finishing up, having to avoid a tanker right at the end, and after having gone through all the other stuff, that was probably the worst.
So
nothing colder than being cold on a sail.
Yeah.
The right kind of clothing. So that's why over the years I spent a bit of money on getting the right kind of foul weather gear and layers and stuff to go underneath that.
Yeah, you learned from that one.
Base layers and stuff. Yeah.
So what's the race that you would love?
Please tell that it's American Cup.
Do what?
Which is okay.
No,
he says, please tell us it's the American Cup.
Oh yeah, I'd love to compete in the American Cup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the American Cup stuff is a whole other story. Being in San Francisco when it was there, I got heavily involved in learning and meeting with different people, going to all kinds of events about it. Everything, got to know some of the people that were organizing part of it. And I just tried to volunteer for some of the preliminary events. We had some of the famous sailors, and I said, decided, how can I get access to close to the sailors and talk to them more? So I decided to apply to be a media representative for the U.S. Power Schedule. So I got their approval and got on that. So I was able to go to the press conferences and able to approach the media path, approach all the sailors and got to know them. You heard of Russell Coots?
Yes.
Yeah, got to meet and got to chat with Russell and others, and Jimmy Stitcher and Dean Marker, all still amazing in American stuff this year. The guys are like best of the younger guys for the other team. But they're also, some of them are involved in the Sail GT thing.
The Sail GT.
But anyway, that was fun. So, a big part of the media team, I got invited to go for a sail on the replica ship America. And got to drive that a little bit around San Francisco Bay. You can take it through, I think I took it through one tack. There's a lot of things. Yeah, that would be the great one to compete in, but I'm not quite physically in that. I did approach, you send the information to the team, said, hey, I do some electronic consulting for you, but never get hired. They already had the people for that kind of stuff.
So, Mr. Everett, will we ever see you traveling in a sail around the world?
I don't think so. I know that some people have done it in their 80s and 90s, but I don't have the resources and don't feel that I'm in physical, good enough physical shape. But hey, that could be a challenge.
Plus the missus will not allow it.
There's a Clipper event, and then it's just, that requires a lot of resources. And, using our financial resources on a limited basis for these special studies.
Plus the missus and the kids will not allow it.
No. And after I retired, I was retired from my job in California, and then that's the first year that I did the the Transpac. I retired in May, but my wife knew we were going to do it, and we were going to have to move, so we went ahead and moved out of our house in March. She moved back to Chattanooga, from Chattanooga originally. And I stayed in California and did some preliminary races for the Transpac out there. And then I didn't finally move back until July, August. Did the Transpac and then helped with delivery a famous boat called Merlin back to California. But anyway.
So how's this quarantine affected the sales? Oh,
well, talking about the major races, a lot of them are 600 miles. The Sydney Hobart 600 miles, the Fastnet 600 miles. There's a little sea race, the Caribbean 600, Zigzag 600 miles. That's one race I'd want to do again. Somehow. Go down to Barbados, see the grandkids for a while, and
you gotta put in some sailing.
I did do that race twice, but with the same organization, Sail Racing Academy. Anyway, but as far as COVID-19, the other 600-mile race is the Newport to Bermuda race. Newport, Rhode Island to the island of Bermuda. And we're all set up to do that. In fact, a developer in Nashville, Tony Giratana, found my name on the possible crew list and said, I need a navigator. Wasn't satisfied with the last time we met. And I told him, well, I'm an expert on navigation software. So, anyway, I hope I didn't oversell myself for that.
No.
Anyway, but
you're qualified.
The Bermuda race has been canceled because of COVID. Terribly disappointed.
So any regattas
in 2022. But anyway, I'm going up later this month to do a short race in Newport.
Okay. So it has not completely shut down all regattas or races, correct?
It has shut down a lot. I was planning on going to the Caribbean to do a race in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That was canceled. And I had also considered going down and assisting with delivery of one of the boats back to England, but the islands weren't accepting any flights from the United States. The only way you could get there after talking to the owner, he said, well, you could fly to England and then fly to France, and then you can go to a certain island. Well, that's a little bit too much. So. Not enough time to work that out. So I was able to do that. But anyway, that's the disappointing thing. Locally, our yacht club, we had kind of modified to have, back in May, you had to either be sailing only 2 people on a boat, and the boat big enough to maintain distance. The boat I sail on mostly is a 30-foot boat, J92. But anyway, you can't totally do it, so we wear a mask. But they had kind of cut back on local racing here to that point. But now they decided to open it up and just have no limitation on crews. They did one stage, but okay, you don't have 2 people or single-handed. And then they said, well, you can go to 3 people, a few weeks ago for July, the rest of July, summer.
So for cool.
Normal crew, whatever.
Okay.
Make your own safety judgment on that.
Yeah.
Some people in our club wear a mask when they're close to people. Other people don't seem to care. Hopefully that there's not any spread at our local club, because we have a lot of people my age and older that could be very vulnerable.
Only I'm looking for, I think the IC. You know the new boat they got right now for I think for the American Cup, with foil, it's different. Well, I get the old version, I like the old version, but I'm looking for now, it's a boat for our American Cup. It's a new one with foil. New version? Yeah, the new version. Do you see it already?
Oh yeah, I've been following that.
What do you think about that boat? I like the old version. I don't know who you got.
You like the old standard keel boat?
Yes.
Okay. So, what did you think about the catamaran, the 72-footers?
Oh wow, no, that's my favorite.
Do what?
I like that one too. The catamaran.
You like the catamarans? Yeah. That's the ones they use in San Francisco, and it was just awesome watching them how fast they go. And then when they changed the 50-foot boats for the next one after San Francisco, the 50-footers were doing faster than the 72 because it's all about foiling and the wings. Anyway, of course, then Russell Coutts and Larry Ellison said, well, he's done with America's Cup, and that he started this thing called Sail GP, which used the 50-foot boat.
Yeah.
They took some of the ones that were used in America's Cup last time, and then they added more to it. I got to see those sailing in Cowes in England when I was over there for Cowes. See them doing 50 knots. Both from Australia did 50 knots across the finish line.
And then,
that's awesome. Thinking about 50 knots in a boat and hey, 5 knots, that's great.
And then the new one for
the new one.
No, they do one for the young people, you know,
the younger generation.
Yeah, they say the 69FS is 42. I don't know if you see that one already.
The what? 69?
The 69FS.
69FS.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talking about for the America's Cup or a foiling catamaran?
It's for American Cup, but it's for for the newer,
for the younger generation.
Yes.
Oh, the younger.
Yeah. We're gonna share it to you.
Some of those. But the one for the boat for the America's Cup itself, they have the smaller version of
the smaller version. That's the
monohull boat, but it has foils that stick out the side.
Yes.
Like an Omoka 60, but it goes totally on the full. So an Omoka 60 used to, an ocean boat, they would just be full of fish and help to lift a bit. But then they got fully foiling versions now too, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Maybe you have too. But the America's Cup boat it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's a 70-foot, and I'm not sure what the one for the youth size is, but it's got these things that stick out the side that look like spider legs or something.
Sometimes I share the training. Yeah. When I see that, I see the little boat running with the motor, like when that boat had to be with the whole power with the motor to try to get that boat. They're running a lot. That's fast.
Yeah, they are fast.
Those things they expect to be able to go 50 knots or more as well.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I hadn't seen I haven't followed the smaller ones for the youth much recently, but of course they did some development work for those where they learned how to do this on the 70-footer. But I saw something recently where they started.
I'm going to share it to your page right now.
I'll have to look that up a little more. I'll catch up on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to share it to your page right now.
But what I was going to tell you is when I did visit Newport, Rhode Island, with the guy who's going to sail, we were just kind of get an introduction to the boat that we were going to sail on, which is going to be a Hinckley Southwester 52. But anyway, the harbor where his boat is where the U.S. American Cup boat team was based while I was in Newport, and I got to see see their boat in person. I've seen a lot of videos, but I got to see the boat in person. I think it's pulled out of their shed, getting ready to take it to Pensacola, Florida, where they do their wintertime training. Okay. And so that was pretty interesting to see. It didn't have the foil things all set up on it. To see the boat. And some people say that their boat is sort of like an MC Scow, but bigger. But a lot of other attachments. It's cool to see that.
Oh, wow, Mr. Jack Everett, you have a long resume.
Yeah.
Did I send you my CV, or have you just been looking at my Facebook page?
Well, I did my research, the past couple of days because I wanted to know more about you because I've seen you do great things, and I was like, I want to know who Jack Everett is. You know, how did he get into this? So I was like, I told my husband, we have to interview Mr. Jack Everett where he could tell us his story. So I was surprised of every competition that you've done and all that. So it is.
Did you find a copy of my resume?
No, just what you put on the profile.
What I put on
your profile.
Facebook profile?
Yes, sir.
Profile,
yeah, I'll send you my official resume.
Yes, sir.
That's a Facebook message.
Yes, sir. I would appreciate it. I thank you so much.
Yeah,
for most of it anyway.
Yeah, you.
And I wish to meet one day. We're here in Tennessee.
We have to meet him in person.
I was going to ask you, you're close to Nashville, right?
Yes. We're in Rutherford County.
Okay, you sail on the lakes up there?
No, we have not.
No, because for be honest, I only see only one sailboat one time. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to the lake because I go over there fishing. I only see. I've been here 10 years. Yeah, I see only one sailboat.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of they're hard to find. So like our club here in Chattanooga. A lot of people don't know it's here, but you have certain Saturdays. We'll get almost 30 boats out there, and people see it. So,
oh wow!
Wow, that's cool. We have a very active adult and youth camp training program. But the guy that was going to sail in the Newport Bermuda race, and I'm going to Newport to sail with him at the end of this month.
Okay.
24th. But anyway, he sailed some on a lake up there. I forget which one it is. But there's some sailing clubs around.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do more research.
Not far from Nashville. Forget exactly which lake they're on and what the name of the clubs are. If I come across that, I'll drop you a message.
Thank you, Mr. Jack Everett, for
Thank you.
Trusting us with your story, for taking a little hour out of your time to tell us more about you. So we will keep in touch, and I hope this is not the first time you come to our podcast. And next time we can take you to Puerto Rico. I would love to do that.
Yes.
We'll see if that can be worked out.
Yes, sir.
Trust me, later on, I'm going to send you some picture about that boat, Puerto Rico and everything. I'll send you some pictures. You can see everything.
I'll see some of the posters. It's very interesting. That'd be great.
Yes, trust me. You're going to love it.
Where did your podcast publish?
It's called TomaBudaPR. It's going to be published on Lip Sync and on YouTube, but we will send you the link.
Okay, very good.
It'll be up on Saturday. The English version will go up on Saturday, midnight. And I will copy the link to your page. And the following week, the Spanish version, because I have to translate it.
Yeah. But do you have English versions of your other podcasts?
No, I do not. I have it in Spanish, but I am doing the subtitles in English. I'm working on those too.
Okay. Send me those links too. That'd be great.
I will, Mr. Jack. Thank you so much.
Jack. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for sitting here.
No, thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Yes.
You're quite right.
And hopefully we can meet soon.
Oh, yeah. You can come here, or I can, well, we can meet. Yeah, I can give it to you,
We could go to Chattanooga. Don't
yeah,
worry about it.
I can take you some Puerto Rican food.
Yes.
Well, maybe we can, we'll find some of that. Yeah, well, maybe it can come sometime when we have the, well, I can probably find somebody to take you out on the lake here.
We will love that. So
Yeah.
please take care of yourself, and thank your wife for
too.
allowing us to do this with you.
Sure will.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you, Mr. Jack Everett, for trusting us with your story. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as TomaBudaPR. And like Buda always says, behave badly, but take good care of yourself. Until the next one, God bless.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.